Hello, my dear, myself. It's me again. That quiet voice inside your head that still believes in you even when you don't. Can we talk? Just for a little while. You don't have to do anything. Just listen. Are you listening now? Please. Today. Listen to me. Do you remember when you were a child? When you used to dream of growing up and becoming someone great? You had no idea what consistency was back then. You just were free, light, innocent. Your biggest worry was maybe losing a toy or being told it's bedtime too early. And now you carry so much. Deadlines, expectations, regret, and that constant voice that says, why can't I just stick to it? Are you listening now? Please, really listen. It's not because you're lazy. It's not because you're weak. The truth is far more gentle. It's because you're not the same person every day, and that's okay. Your mind changes. Your emotions shift like the ocean. Your motivations rise and fall with the moon. Every day, a new version of you wakes up. Some days, it's the focused one. Other days, it's the tired one. And sometimes, it's the one who just wants to hide. But we expect every version of ourselves to perform the same. To be equally driven, equally ready, equally whole. That's the mistake. You are not oneself. You are a team. Each day, a different player holds the baton. Your only job is not to finish the race. Your job is to pass the baton a little farther down the track. Do you remember what your father used to say? Life is not one in a day. It's lived one breath at a time. And your mother, the way she used to wrap her arms around you, whispering, today, right now. What if we just made tomorrow a little easier? That's all. Nothing more. No perfection. Just a little lighter. Are you still listening? Please, I'm right here. I'm not your failure. I'm your whisperer. I'm your truth. I'm your friend. The famous psychologist Carl Rogers once said, "The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change." You don't need to fight yourself. You just need to work with yourself. Each version of you helping the next, like a quiet relay of care. And don't worry, this is not about doing everything perfectly. It's about building momentum, gently, tiny steps. Just like video games have to save points, so does life. You don't have to beat the level. You just need to save the progress. Are you listening now? Because that voice is your true self. Today, do something small. Write one sentence, fold one shirt, take one deep breath, and tomorrow will thank you for it. Because you, my dear, are worth investing in. Yes, you. Even if you've forgotten how to believe it. And if you don't believe in the future, you just think of them as a friend. Would you let your friends suffer? Then don't let the future suffer either. Leave them something kind, even if it's just a little note that says, we tried today, because we did. We're trying, and trying is everything. Soft breath. Now, close your eyes. Take one deep breath with me. Inhale. And exhale slowly. Let go. You've done enough for today. And now it's time to rest. So please, put your phone down. Move that screen away from your eyes. I'm not on the screen. I'm inside you. I'm not some narrator. I am you. We are one, and together, we'll keep going, one gentle breath at a time. Are you listening now? because the day has ended, but your thoughts haven't. You're lying still, but inside, the world is spinning with guilt, with plans, with regrets, with promises. So many unfinished conversations with yourself, so many false starts, so many beginnings that never reach the middle. But I want to remind you, this is not the end. This is the in-between, and the in-between matters more than anyone told you, because it's where most of your life happens. Are you listening now? Please, today, listen to me. You are not a failure. You are a rhythm. You are a season. You are waves that return even after retreating, and sometimes even the ocean has to pull back before it crashes forward. So why are you so afraid of your pauses? Why do you treat your rest as weakness? You weren't born to perform. You weren't born to hustle for love. You were born to breathe, to feel, to unfold in your own time. But somewhere, someone made you believe that only progress proves worth, that only effort earns love, that only achievement deserves peace. And now you panic every time you slow down. You panic when you sleep in. You panic when you don't check a box. You panic when the world moves while you sit still. But what if stillness is not falling behind? What if stillness is where you meet yourself again? Are you listening now? Because you've been so loud with self-judgment, so loud with self-blame. You've called yourself names you wouldn't dare call anyone else. Lazy, weak, useless. But none of those words belong to you. They're wounds, not truths. You pick them up from broken people, from tired teachers, from stressed parents, from systems that measured you like machines instead of hearts. Tonight, I want you to return to softness, to the voice that once told bedtime stories, the voice that hummed lullabies, the voice that forgave you for everything. I want that voice to speak again. And that voice says, you don't need to finish everything today. You don't need to feel motivated to matter. You don't need to have a perfect track record to be proud. Are you listening now? Because this is not about building a habit. This is about building a home inside yourself. A home where every version of you is welcome. The tired one, the distracted one, the determined one, the one who breaks promises, and the one who makes them again anyway. Do you know why consistency feels so far away? Because you're trying to earn it through punishment. You scold yourself into action. You shame yourself into discipline. But shame is not fuel. It's a fire that burns from the inside. And sooner or later, it leaves ashes where joy once lived. You don't need more willpower. You need more self-trust. You need to believe that even if you fall, you will get up kindly. Not with anger, not with self-hate, but with understanding, like you would lift a child learning to walk. No one yells at a toddler for stumbling, so why do you yell at yourself? Please, today, listen to me. I'm the part of you that remembers your first try, your first poem, your first drawing, your first quiet bravery. You didn't wait to be perfect then. You didn't ask if it would be good enough. You just created. You just tried. You just played. And maybe that's the secret. Not discipline, not motivation, but play, curiosity, gentleness. Can you make life feel like play again? Just one small moment, not a marathon. Just one silly step, one playful act, one soft beginning. Are you listening now? Because even your smallest effort is sacred. Even brushing your hair, even cleaning a corner, even writing one word, even feeling one feeling fully, that is sacred. That is progress. That is consistency. You've always expected yourself to build a temple in one night. But what if all you needed was to place one stone gently today? That's all. Just one stone, without judgment, without rushing, without screaming at yourself for not laying down 10. I'm here, not to measure you, but to walk beside you. And I promise, when you stop treating yourself like a project and start treating yourself like a person, everything will begin to change. Not suddenly, but peacefully, softly, lastingly. Are you listening now? Because the world will not pause to wait for you. But I will. I always will. I've waited in silence for years. Waited while you doubted. Waited while you distracted yourself. Waited while you punished and pushed and pretended. But I never left, and I never will. Let the world move. Let the pressure melt. Let the noise fade. It's quiet now. It's just us. And that's more than enough. Are you listening now? Because the silence you feel is not empty. It's filled with everything you never said. Everything you buried to stay strong. Everything you postponed until later. But later never came. Only guilt did. And tiredness. And that sinking feeling at night that whispers, why can't you just do it like everyone else? But you are not everyone else. You are you, with your own history, your own bruises, your own unseen battles, and no one has walked your exact path. No one knows the weight you carry just to get out of bed some days. So I need you to stop comparing your journey to someone else's highlight reel, because comparison is a thief. It steals your joy. It steals your truth. It steals your voice. Please, today, listen to me, because I'm the voice you've drowned under deadlines and self-criticism. But I've never stopped speaking, even when you ignored me, even when you called me weak. I still whispered love to you while you hated your reflection. I still saw beauty in you when you only saw broken pieces. You think consistency is about routine, but it's really about relationships. Your relationship with your own self, your own soul. And if that relationship is built on shame, you'll never feel safe enough to grow. You'll only force yourself through guilt. You'll create through fear. You'll chase dreams while hating yourself for dreaming slowly. But that's not sustainable. You know it isn't. You've tried yelling at yourself into action. You've tried punishing your laziness. You've tried promising that this time will be different. And maybe it was. For a day, maybe even a week. But the crash came, didn't it? The heaviness, the blank mind, the voice that said, see, I told you, you'll never stick with anything. But that voice is not your truth. That voice is your wound. Let's go deeper, not to fix you, not to improve you, but to understand you. Why do you stop when you're finally starting to bloom? Why do you sabotage the very things you long for? Because somewhere along the way you were taught that good things don't last, that success comes with pressure, that happiness is fragile. And so, instead of risking joy, you abandon it before it can abandon you. Are you listening now? Because you need to hear this. Quitting doesn't make you broken. It makes you afraid. And fear is not your enemy. It's your protector. It learned to keep you safe by keeping you small. But small doesn't serve you anymore. You're not a child hiding from rejection. You're a soul ready to stretch, to open, to risk again. Even if your hands tremble, even if your voice shakes, please, today, listen to me. Because what you call procrastination is often just perfectionism in disguise. You're not lazy. You're terrified that what you create won't match the picture in your head. You're scared that you'll finally try and it still won't be enough. So instead, you wait. You delay. You scroll. You distract. Because if you never start, you never have to fail. But if you never start, you also never get to live. And you deserve more than safety. You deserve aliveness. Even messy aliveness. Even imperfect beginnings. Are you listening now? Because the world told you to be consistent like a robot. To wake up at 5 a.m. To eat the same meal. To follow the same structure. But you are not a machine. You are a soul with seasons. There will be days your fire is strong and days it barely flickers. Both are part of the rhythm. Both are part of you. Consistency doesn't mean never falling. It means falling with grace. It means coming back again and again, not with punishment, but with presence, with softness, with love. Let's redefine success tonight. Success is not just ticking boxes. It's showing up in your own skin, with honesty, with gentleness, with a quiet courage that says, I may be slow, but I am still going. That is enough. That has always been enough. Are you listening now? Because your inner child is the one who used to dance in the hallway, the one who believed a single star could grant a wish, the one who never needed a calendar to feel alive. That child is still here, still waiting for you to come back. Not to discipline, not to punish, but to play, to create with no agenda, to rest without guilt, to be without proving, because you are allowed to exist without explanation. Are you listening now? Because I hear your exhaustion. I hear your quiet tears when everyone else is asleep. I hear the way you whisper apologies to the mirror, but you don't need to say sorry for being tired. You don't need to say sorry for starting over. You don't need to say sorry for being human. Tonight, I want you to hold yourself like a friend, not a project, not a failure, not a burden, just a friend. One who is doing their best in a very loud, very demanding world. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is whisper, I'm still here. That's all it takes. That's where healing begins. You're not behind. You're becoming. You're not weak. You're waking up. You're not lost. You're just listening for your own voice again. And now, finally, you hear it. It's soft, but it's steady. It's quiet, but it's you. And you are enough, exactly as you are. Right now, in this breath, this moment, this stillness. So please, put down the guilt. Put down the timelines. Put down the impossible expectations. And pick up your heart again. Even if it's cracked. Even if it's confused. Even if it's slow. You don't have to be anyone else. You don't have to be faster. You don't have to be louder. You just have to be real. And if you are real, then you are already healing. Are you listening now? Because this is the beginning. Again, and again, and again, and every beginning counts. Even this one, especially this one. Are you listening now? Because tonight, your heart doesn't need another reason to panic. It needs one reason to rest. One whisper that says, "You did enough today. You are enough today." And maybe you don't believe that yet. Maybe that voice inside you is still yelling, still counting the things you didn't do, still reminding you of all the times you stopped halfway. But tonight, let me speak louder than that voice. You see, the brain doesn't forget how you spoke to it yesterday. As Carl Jung once said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. And most of us live our lives not sabotaging our goals, but obeying invisible patterns we don't even realize we follow. Do you remember how you were punished as a child for not doing everything right? Do you remember the shame in that teacher's voice when you didn't finish your work on time? The cold silence when you failed that test? That silence didn't stay in the classroom. It followed you home. It followed you into adulthood. And now, every time you try to begin, that old shame whispers, what if you fail again? What if they laugh this time? What if you're just not meant to do this? Please, are you listening now? Because I need you to know, consistency doesn't start in your schedule. It starts in your nervous system. And if your nervous system still flinches at the sound of expectation, how can it possibly feel safe enough to thrive? Let me give you an example. There was a study by Dr. Bessel van der Kolk of the body keeps the score that showed how trauma lives in the body even when the mind forgets. He found that people who struggled with keeping habits or focus were often not lacking discipline. They were living in a body that felt unsafe with calm. Yes, unsafe with calm, because silence often meant danger in childhood. Stillness meant punishment. Peace meant the storm was coming. So now, when you try to slow down and build something long-term, your body panics, your mind screams, and you run. Not because you're lazy, but because your biology thinks it's protecting you. Are you listening now? Because this changes everything. This means you're not broken. You're just carrying a nervous system tuned for survival, not sustainability. And that's okay. That can be unlearned with gentleness, with patience, with repetition. Please, listen to me. You don't fix consistency with a planner. You fix it with compassion. Try to remember the last time you felt joy without being productive. Hard to remember, right? Because joy became conditional. Rest became a reward you rarely earned. And love. Even that felt like something you had to work for. So you kept working and working and breaking and starting over. But tonight, you don't have to start over. You can just begin, Lee. No rush, no pressure, just presence. Let me take you back to a memory. Close your eyes. Go back to that moment in childhood, when you were building something from Lego or drawing with no one watching, and time didn't exist. You weren't doing it for grades or likes or validation. You were doing it because your soul remembered how to play. And that version of you is still inside, buried beneath the adult who always thinks they're behind. Are you listening now? Because I need you to stop chasing perfect days and start honoring imperfect moments. There is a Japanese concept called kaizen. It means continuous improvement, not massive leaps, not overnight transformation, just small, consistent steps. One breath, one moment, one act of kindness toward yourself. Even if that act is just brushing your teeth when you feel like nothing matters. Even if it's making your bed when your dreams feel far away. These small rituals, they whisper to your brain, I matter. I am still trying, and that is enough. Please, are you listening now? Because I know how heavy this year has been. How many times you thought about giving up? How many nights you lied awake wondering why you can't just be normal? But maybe normal was never the goal. Maybe healing was. Maybe softness is the real success. Maybe showing up for your inner child is more courageous than any checklist. Let me share something, Dr. Kristen. Neff, one of the pioneers of self-compassion, once said, "Self-compassion is not a way of being easy on yourself. It's a way of being strong in the face of your suffering. And strength isn't loud. It doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. I will try again tomorrow." And that whisper is enough to rebuild an entire life. Are you listening now? Because you need to hear this again. You are not a failure for being tired. You are not weak for needing rest. You are not wrong for wanting more time. You are simply human, beautifully, vulnerably, painfully human. And tonight, I want you to stop fighting that. Stop editing your feelings. Stop rushing your healing. Just be here with me, with your breath, with your heart that still beats, even when it's broken. Please, today, listen to me. You don't have to start tomorrow with fire. You can start with peace. You can start with breath. You can start with silence. You can start right now by forgiving yourself for every unfinished thing, because forgiveness is not the end. It's the door back to your soul. Are you listening now? Because you've been so kind to others, so forgiving, so understanding. Now, can you give a little of that to yourself? Just a little. Just enough to rest your head without guilt. Just enough to believe for one quiet moment that maybe, just maybe, you are still worthy, even when you're still. You are still lovable, even when you're lost. You are still you, and that is enough. So now, put away the phone. Turn down the lights. Let the thoughts come and go like clouds. Let the breath fall softly. Let the past release its grip. Let the future rest for now. Come back. Come back to yourself. Come back to this stillness. Come back to this moment. Are you listening now? Are you listening now? Because tonight isn't just about sleep. It's about finally letting go. Letting go of the weight you weren't meant to carry. The pressure to be perfect. The guilt of every failed attempt. The shame stitched into every pause, every silence, every plan that stayed a plan. Please, just listen. You weren't born to be a machine. You weren't created to hustle until you collapse. You were meant to bloom. Slowly, like a quiet flower no one notices until the sun touches it just right. Do you remember when life used to feel simple? When the day didn't begin with a checklist? When success didn't depend on how disciplined you looked on paper? Remember sitting near the window as a child, watching raindrops race down the glass? And somehow, that was enough? No goals, no pressure, just presence. That was the real you. Still is. But somewhere along the way, someone taught you that your worth must be earned, that you had to prove yourself, perform, please, perfect. Even when your soul screamed, "But I'm already enough." Are you listening now? Because I need to tell you what no one else did. Your inconsistency does not make you unworthy. Your unfinished dreams do not make you unlovable. Your slow days, your sad days, your scared days, they are not signs of failure. They are signs that you're still trying. That is beautiful. Let me tell you something Dr. Gabor Mate said. The attempt to escape from pain is what creates more suffering. And haven't we all tried? Tried to outrun the pain with productivity, tried to outwork the sadness, tried to bury the loneliness under 1,000 plans. But the pain doesn't leave when you run. It leaves when you listen. And tonight, maybe for the first time in a long time, you're listening. Please, close your eyes and go back with me. Back to a moment where you felt rejected, left out, misunderstood. Feel that little version of you sitting in a corner, wondering what they did wrong, wondering why they couldn't keep up, wondering why love felt so far away. Now, whisper to them, you didn't do anything wrong. You were never too much. You were just too unprotected, too young to understand that inconsistency isn't failure. It's fear in disguise. Are you listening now? Because your fear is not your enemy. It's just a messenger, a soft voice saying, I've been hurt before, and I don't want to be hurt again. Your mind isn't lazy, it's tired. Your heart isn't unmotivated, it's guarded. Because every time you started something and didn't finish, you blamed yourself. But maybe, just maybe, you didn't lack discipline. You lacked safety. Yes, safety. Because consistency blooms where the nervous system feels safe. And safety comes not from pressure, but from permission to rest, permission to be slow, permission to try again without judgment. Let me share a story. There was a girl who loved to write. Stories spilled from her like stars. But one day, a teacher marked her story in red, criticized every word, and told her she wasn't focused. So she stopped. Not because she lost passion, but because shame entered the room. Years later, she still can't finish a sentence, still calls herself lazy, still wonders what's wrong with her. Nothing was ever wrong. The shame was never hers to carry. And tonight, maybe her story sounds like yours. Are you listening now? Because this is the truth. You don't need to fix yourself. You need to forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for the goals you abandoned. Forgive yourself for the days you stayed in bed. Forgive yourself for the habits you couldn't hold. You were surviving. You are still surviving. But you're also healing now. Even listening right now is healing. You see, as psychologist Dr. Rick Hansen says, the brain is like Velcro for negative experiences and Teflon for positive ones. That's why it's easy to remember your mistakes and hard to remember your wins. But tonight, let's reverse that. Let's let your mind rest on something soft. Think of one thing you did right today. Maybe you drank water. Maybe you didn't give up. Maybe you pressed play on this. That's enough. That's worthy. Let me tell you something that might sound strange. You don't need motivation to build consistency. You need gentle repetition. You need kindness that returns every day. Even if you forgot, even if you fell. You need rituals, not rules. Peace, not pressure. Are you listening now? Because I know there's a part of you that wants to start over tomorrow, to be perfect, to do it all right this time. But I want to tell you, you don't need to start over. You only need to start small. Start soft. Start slow. Because that's how the moon rises. Not with noise, but with quiet, sacred intention. Let go of the belief that your worth depends on your results. Let go of the timeline that was never yours. Let go of the voices that told you, if you stop, you fail. No, if you stop and listen, you grow. You hear the truth underneath the noise. And the truth is, you are allowed to rest. You are allowed to begin again without apology. You are allowed to heal slower than others. You are allowed to love yourself in pieces. Please, are you listening now? Because the night is whispering a new story into your soul. A story where you're not defined by what you finish. A story where softness isn't weakness. Where trying is a triumph. Where rest is sacred. Where you wake up not to conquer the world, but to connect with it. Tonight, allow yourself that sacred stillness. Let your shoulders drop. Let your breath deepen. Let your eyelids fall. Let the old expectations dissolve into the dark. There is no one watching, no one grading, no one judging, just you, just this breath, just this moment, and it is enough. Please, put the phone away now. Let the world turn without you for a little while. Let the dreams come, not as commands, but as comfort. Let your body sink into this softness. And hear me once more. Are you listening now? Are you still with me? Still listening? Because tonight we go deeper. Not into your pain, but into the space behind it. The quiet room inside you that has always been there, waiting for you to sit down, to breathe, and to finally feel safe being exactly as you are. You don't need to prove anything here. Not to me, not to yourself, and not to the world that made you believe that consistency equals worth. It doesn't. Because the most beautiful things on earth, they aren't consistent either. The moon disappears for nights at a time, still sacred. The ocean rises and falls without rhythm, still powerful. Even your heartbeat skips when you feel deeply, still alive, still enough. So, why do you hurt every time you pause? Why do you feel guilt every time you take a breath that isn't productive? Who taught you that being still was the same as being broken? Let's go back. Back to that teacher who said, "You're falling behind." Back to that parent who said, "You never finish anything." Back to the moment where someone laughed when you were trying your best. Can you see it now? The birth of your shame. It didn't come from laziness. It came from being rushed, judged, and misunderstood. And tonight, I want you to give that younger you something they never got. A voice that says, "You're doing just fine. You're allowed to move slowly. You're allowed to lose track and find your way again." Because as psychologist Kristen Neff said, self-compassion is not self-indulgence, it's self-preservation. And isn't that what you've always been trying to do? Preserve your energy, preserve your joy, preserve your sense of self. Are you listening now? Because I want to share something real. A boy once told himself every morning, "This time, I'll stick to it." He'd make a schedule, follow it for 3 days, and then crash. And every crash felt like a betrayal. But no one told him. The crash wasn't a failure. It was feedback. Feedback that his plan wasn't kind. Feedback that his mind was tired. Feedback that healing doesn't run on discipline. It runs on gentleness. Please breathe in and let that settle inside you. You don't need to fight yourself to become yourself. You don't need to win every battle to grow. Sometimes progress sounds like silence, looks like rest, feels like a soft surrender. Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, author of The Body Keeps the Score, says that trauma lives in the body. It changes how we feel, how we react, and how we stay consistent. Because when you've been hurt, your body remembers. It braces, it pauses, it hesitates, not because it's weak, but because it's protecting you. And maybe that's why you've struggled to stay consistent. Not because you're broken, but because your body still thinks the world is unsafe. So, tonight, we tell your body, you're safe now. Safe to pause. Safe to begin again. Safe to let go of the weight of perfection. Let me ask you this. What if you didn't need to change yourself? What if you only needed to return to yourself? Not the you who people clapped for, not the you who achieved and impressed, but the you who sits quietly at night, just breathing, just wondering, just existing, and still deserving love. Are you listening now? Because I want to remind you of something soft and true. You are already living a story worth telling, not because of what you've done, but because of how you've endured. Every time you felt like giving up, but didn't. Every time you cried and still showed up. Every time you lost track but found your way back. That is strength. That is consistency of the heart. And that's what matters most. Let's shift now. Let's rewrite what success means. It's not a perfect streak. It's not ever missing a day. It's not being admired. Real success is staying kind to yourself, even when you fall behind. It's waking up and choosing love, even when shame whispers. Let me share something from Dr. Carol Dweck. The mind behind the growth mindset, she said, becoming is better than being. You hear that? You don't have to be consistent. You just have to keep becoming someone who tries, someone who forgives, someone who keeps walking, even if the steps are small and shaky. Please, are you listening now? Because this night, this breath, this moment isn't about becoming perfect. It's about being real. Real enough to rest. Real enough to hope. Real enough to begin again. Without shame dragging behind you like a shadow. And you don't need to earn rest. You don't need to earn healing. You don't need to earn love. You were born with it, stitched into your soul. You are worthy now, just as you are, even with the pauses, even with the wounds, even with the dreams still sitting inside you, waiting. Now close your eyes, feel your heartbeat, feel the air wrap around your body like a blanket. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not late. You are learning a new way of living, a softer way, a kinder way, a slower, safer, more sacred way, and that is beautiful. So tonight, no pressure, no musts, no shoulds, only stillness, only this gentle truth echoing softly in your chest. I am enough, even now, especially now. Put the phone down. Let the noise slip away. Let your breath slow. Let your inner child sleep without fear. Let your spirit trust that it can wake up and begin again. Not because it has to, but because it's finally ready to try. With love. Are you still listening? Still breathing with me? Good. Because tonight we talk about something you've never said out loud. That deep down feeling, the one that whispers. No matter how hard I try, I always mess it up. The belief that sits in your chest like a stone, heavy, cold, unmoved by your effort. But it's not the truth. It's just a story your mind built from fragments of moments when someone didn't see your effort, didn't hear your cry, didn't honor your spirit. Tonight, I want you to hear a new story, one told by the voice inside you that has never given up, the one that kept showing up, even when no one noticed, even when you didn't believe in yourself. Let's go there now. Not with judgment, with gentleness. Remember that day in your childhood? The day you were so proud to finish something, Maybe it was a drawing, a small dance, a sentence in your notebook you spelled just right, and you turned to someone for validation, a teacher, a parent, a friend, but they were distracted or unimpressed, or said something small that crushed something big inside you. That's where the wound began. Not because you failed, but because success without love doesn't feel like success at all. And ever since then, maybe, every time you try, every time you take a step, your brain says, why bother? No one will care. But I care. You care. That child inside you still cares. They're still waiting to be seen. Psychologist Dr. Gabor Mate reminds us, when we suppress emotion to stay connected, we disconnect from ourselves. And isn't that what you did? You suppressed disappointment to stay likable. You smiled when you were confused. You stayed silent to stay safe. But the cost? Your connection to your own truth, your voice, your rhythm, your pace. You started chasing consistency the way people chase approval. Not because you wanted perfection, but because you wanted love. But tonight we shift that, because now you're learning to give love. Before achievement, love before discipline, love before proof. Are you listening now? Because I want to tell you what no one told you before. It's okay to be tired. It's okay to fall off track. It's okay to be inconsistent. If your soul needs healing first, you don't fix a clock by yelling at the hands. You open the back. Look at the gears and gently see what's stuck. Maybe your gears are kindness starved. Maybe your wheels are love deprived. Maybe your battery is drained from years of pretending. So stop pretending now. Just be. Just breathe. You are not broken. You are becoming. Still, quietly, powerfully. Dr. Carl Rogers once said, "The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. Not when you perfect yourself, not when you prove something, but when you sit in the middle of your mess and say, this is still me, and I still matter." Let me share something. A man once told his therapist, "I can never finish anything. I'm a failure." And the therapist asked, "When did someone first call you lazy?" He paused. "I think I was 6. And then he cried. Not because he was lazy, but because someone else had mistaken his sadness for apathy, his confusion for rebellion, his quietness for lack of effort. What would happen if you asked yourself that same question? Who first made you believe that inconsistency equals laziness? Whose voice do you still carry inside when you fall short? Whose disappointment still echoes when you take a break? Let that voice go now. It doesn't belong in your future. You've outgrown it. You've outlived it. You are allowed to build new habits with softness, not fear. Please breathe, deep, gentle, and let your nervous system hear. You're not in danger anymore. You are safe now. Safe to slow down. Safe to begin again without shame. Are you listening now? Because I want to tell you what your future self already knows. You're going to do just fine. Not because you'll get everything right, but because you'll stop punishing yourself for every misstep. Consistency doesn't come from discipline alone. It comes from safety. It comes from feeling like you belong to yourself. So let tonight be that belonging. Let this moment be the warm return to your truth. No goals, no pressure, just permission. Permission to say, I matter, even now, even while figuring things out. You've survived days that tried to break you. You've walked through fog and fire and silence. You're still here, and that is enough. Tonight, I want you to do something radical. Forgive yourself. Forgive the version of you that didn't stay consistent. Forgive the days lost to numbness. Forgive the false starts, the spiral downs, the unspoken fears. Because nothing heals faster than forgiveness. Nothing rebuilds quicker than compassion. So lie down, close your eyes, and tell your heart, I hear you now. I see you now. I'm not going to abandon you again just because you paused. Your pace is not the enemy. Your softness is not the enemy. You don't need to match the world's noise. You just need to hear your own rhythm again, and you will. I promise you will. Because something inside you has already decided to begin again. Not tomorrow, not later. Now, in this breath, in this beat, in this quiet whisper of hope. Put the phone down. Let your body rest. Let your soul remember the way back to peace. Let the voice inside you say, you're still growing, and that's more than enough. Are you listening me? Not just with your ears, but with your breath, your bones, your aching heart. Then come close. Because tonight we revisit a truth so simple, so human, that it often gets buried beneath the noise of deadlines and demands. Consistency is not a performance. It's not perfection. It's not even progress in a straight line. It is, at its core, a relationship between you. And like all relationships, it needs honesty. It needs understanding. It needs patience. You don't lose consistency because you're weak. You lose it when your relationship with yourself becomes strained. When your inner voice speaks more like a drill sergeant than a gentle friend. Have you noticed that voice lately? The one that says, you should be doing more. You're already behind. Look how far they've come. Look at you. Comparison is a silent killer of consistency. Not because others are ahead, but because it distracts you from your own unique rhythm. Psychologist Kristen Neff, who pioneered the science of self-compassion, said, when we give ourselves compassion, we are opening our hearts in a way that transforms our lives. But most of us were raised on criticism, not compassion. We learn to motivate ourselves with shame, not softness. So tonight, let's unlearn. Let's relearn the lost language of self-love. Do you remember your first notebook as a child? The one where you practiced writing your name? Wobbly letters, backward E's, pages torn from mistakes, and yet you were proud. You were learning. No one expected you to write perfectly on the first day, but now you expect perfection at the beginning of every habit, every goal, every new morning. Why? Because somewhere along the line, you began confusing performance with worth, and that confusion still whispers. If I mess up today, it means I'm broken. But you are not broken. You are becoming, learning, reconnecting. Dr. Brené Brown once wrote, owning our story and loving ourselves through that process is the bravest thing that we'll ever do. So own this chapter. Even if it's messy, even if the pages are full of restarts, tonight I want to take you to a memory. Close your eyes. Go back to a day when you felt excited to try again. Maybe it was riding a bicycle, your knees scraped, your hands wobbly on the handlebars, but still, you got up. Why? Because someone cheered for you, or because no one said, you failed. They said, you'll get it. You believed in the process, not just the outcome, and slowly, without noticing, You rode on your own. That's how consistency is built. Not through punishment, but through patience. Are you listening now? Because tonight your body is speaking too. It's saying, I'm tired of being a machine. I want to feel joy in the doing, not just guilt in the not doing. And joy, real joy, is a slow flame, not a spark. It grows when you treat yourself not like a project, but like a person. So here's a radical thought. What if you didn't need more productivity hacks? What if you just needed more permission to rest? What if your inconsistency wasn't a flaw, but a message? A message might be, I'm not aligned. I'm chasing a goal that doesn't feed my soul. I'm exhausted from pretending I'm okay. Let that truth sit with you. No shame, no fixing, just listening. Because you deserve a life where consistency comes from alignment, not obligation. And here's something the great psychologist Carl Jung said: until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Your inconsistency is not fate. It's not a curse. It's not a sign that something is wrong with you. It's a signal from the unconscious calling you inward, calling you home. So tonight, come home, not to routines, not to planners, to yourself, to the part of you that just wants to feel proud again, the part that longs to wake up with softness, not shame, the part that whispers, I'm trying, because that's what matters most, that you're trying, even when it's quiet, even when no one sees, even when your try looks like lying still and breathing through the weight. I know there are days when you scroll for hours, not because you're lazy, but because you're lonely, or overwhelmed, or numb, and your brain just wants to feel something or nothing, anything but pressure. So tonight, drop the pressure. Lift the guilt off your chest like a heavy coat. You don't need it to be worthy. You never did. Take a deep breath with me. Yes, now. Inhale slow. Hold. Exhale even slower. That is enough. That is effort. That is healing. Are you still listening? Because I want to tell you a story. There was once a girl who planted a seed and expected flowers the next morning. When they didn't bloom, she cried, "This is pointless." She almost dug them up, but her grandmother held her hand and said, "Sweetheart, they're blooming. You just can't see it yet. That's where you are. The roots are growing, even in the dark, even when you can't see results, even when the soil of your life feels hard. Trust the roots, trust the rest, trust the slowness. You are learning consistency the only way it sticks, by making it feel safe, gentle, yours. So tonight, don't set more goals. Set intentions, soft ones. Like, I will be kind to myself tomorrow. I will start again, even if it's the 100th time. I will stop proving and start breathing. And when the world tries to rush you, pause. When your mind says you're falling behind, pause. When guilt knocks on your door, let compassion answer it. Because you are worthy, even when you pause, even when you stray, even when the steps are slow. Are you listening now? Good. Then put down your phone, rest your eyes, and whisper inward, I'm safe, I'm loved, I'm still becoming. Are you still with me tonight? Good. Because this part of the journey goes even deeper. Deeper into that silent space where self-sabotage begins. Not in your habits, not in your schedule, but in your beliefs. You see, You don't just struggle with consistency because life is busy. You struggle because something inside you whispers, maybe I don't deserve this. Maybe I'll fail again. Maybe I'm not made for this kind of life. That belief, buried under your every attempt, is what keeps pulling you back to the same place. And tonight, I want us to meet that voice, not to fight it, but to understand it, because you can't heal what you keep ignoring. Do you remember how you learned to tie your shoelaces? It took time, knots, frustration. But nobody expected you to quit. They just kept guiding your little hands until one day it clicked. But now you expect every new habit to work instantly. You expect your fear to vanish on command. And when it doesn't, you call yourself undisciplined. But discipline without compassion becomes punishment. And punishment is not how humans thrive. Dr. Albert Bandura, one of the founding fathers of social psychology, said, "People's beliefs about their abilities have a profound effect on those abilities." That means it's not the lack of talent. It's not the lack of time. It's the lack of belief. And belief doesn't grow through pressure. It grows through presence, through patience, through the quiet choice to try again gently. So let me ask you, what if your inconsistency isn't laziness? What if it's grief? What if you're still healing from promises you made to yourself and broke? What if a younger version of you remembers every time you said, "This time will be different," but it wasn't? And now you hesitate to believe yourself again. But hear this, you are not your past failures. You are the courage that keeps returning despite them. You are not the broken attempts. You are the hands still reaching. Let that sink in. Say it quietly. I am not my broken promises. I am my effort to rebuild them. Are you still breathing with me? Soft, slow, safe. Now let's go back, further, to that time in your life when approval was currency, when love felt like something to earn. Maybe from a parent, teacher, a friend who kept moving the goalposts. You learned to chase approval instead of peace, to seek validation before rest, to believe that rest itself was only earned if you worked hard enough. And now, even as an adult, you don't feel comfortable resting because deep down, you think rest means failure or laziness or weakness. But tonight, I want you to know, rest is not the opposite of consistency. Rest is the foundation of it. Rest repairs the soul that does the work. Rest reminds your nervous system that you are safe. And safety is what your brain needs to show up again tomorrow. Dr. Stephen Porges, founder of the polyvagal theory, said, "Safety is the treatment, not pressure, not punishment, safety." So let's build safety inside you. Right here, right now. Close your eyes. Place your hand over your chest. Feel that quiet beat. That is your body saying, I'm still with you. Not rushing, not perfect, but loyal, just like you. Now, breathe with it. Let your breath become slower than your thoughts. Let your body feel what your mind can't explain. You are safe now. And when you are safe, you don't need to force consistency. It comes naturally, like the sun rising after the night. But there's something else, something important. Have you noticed how you speak to yourself when you fall off track? How quickly the voice inside says, "Here we go again. You'll never change." But what if you changed that voice? What if instead you said, "Of course, I slipped. I'm human. And that's okay. I can begin again," because you don't need more shame. You need more softness. And softness is not weakness. It's the soil where consistency can take root. Let me give you a small practice tonight. One that rewires the very belief you carry. Before you sleep, whisper these words. I am allowed to begin again. Say it again. I am allowed to begin again. Because the most powerful habit you can ever build is the habit of forgiveness. Forgiveness of the days you didn't show up. Forgiveness of the hours you felt numb. Forgiveness of the moments you stayed in bed because the world felt too heavy. Consistency that is rooted in self-hatred will never last. But consistency built on love that changes lives. Are you listening now? I hope you are. Because you are more than the habits you haven't kept. You are more than the routines you abandoned. You are more than the streaks you broke. You are a living story. And every story has pauses, plot twists, slow chapters. But the story continues. Because you do. So, tonight, do not set alarms to punish yourself. Set intentions to honor yourself. Like, I will treat myself kindly, no matter how today went. I will speak to myself like someone worth loving. I will make small choices that lead me back to peace. And when tomorrow comes and it feels hard again, pause, breathe, begin gently. That is all you ever needed. Not perfection, not performance, just permission. Permission to be slow, to be soft, to be scared and still start again. Because that's what bravery looks like when no one's watching. Now feel your eyes getting heavier, not from exhaustion, but from release. The release of pressure, of shame, of that old narrative that said, you're not enough unless you're producing. You are enough. Right now, right here, even in stillness, even in silence, even in the long in-between, you are still worthy. You are still becoming. And tomorrow, you get to try again with less fear, more love, and a little more softness in your step. Still awake, or just barely drifting, that's okay. Tonight isn't about getting everything right. Tonight is just about returning. Because returning is a skill, a habit, a muscle we forget to train. You don't need to be consistent every moment. You just need to learn to come back. Come back to your breath. Come back to your why. Come back to the truth that you're not broken. Let me remind you of something you forgot. Do you remember how a baby learns to walk? Not by analyzing gait, not by reading articles, but by falling over and over, and still getting back up. They don't call it failure, they call it learning. But when was the last time you allowed yourself to fall without shame? When was the last time you saw your own wobble as beautiful? Tonight, I want you to unlearn the lie that falling means weakness. Falling is how you rise stronger. It's not a detour. It's part of the path. Psychologist Kristen Neff calls this self-compassion. She says, instead of mercilessly judging and criticizing yourself for various inadequacies or shortcomings, self-compassion means you are kind and understanding. When confronted with personal failings, let that sink in. You don't need more willpower. You need more self-kindness. Because consistency doesn't come from self-attack. It comes from inner safety. And inner safety is built when you finally say to yourself, I'm allowed to be human here. I'm allowed to try again tomorrow. I'm allowed to be soft and strong at the same time. Are you still with me? Feel the weight on your shoulders drop just a little. Feel the space around your heart open just a little. No pressure here. No perfection here, just presence. Now, let's visit a memory. Maybe one you haven't opened in a while. Go back to a moment in childhood when someone you admired said, "You're too lazy. You always give up. You'll never stick to anything." That voice, you didn't invite it, but it lives in you now. It became the background track of your efforts. Each time you try again, it whispers, "Don't bother. You'll quit anyway." But you're not that child anymore. You're not frozen in that moment. You're not defined by those careless words. Tonight, we change the soundtrack. We write a new one. Try this. I am not who they said I was. I am not their disappointment. I am learning, evolving, becoming on my own terms. Feel that? It's not just affirmation, it's reclamation. You are reclaiming your power to speak to yourself with love, even when you fall short, especially when you fall short. Because how you speak to yourself in your lowest moments, that's where your consistency is born. Not in productivity, not in checklists, but in the tenderness you give yourself when no one's watching. Are you still breathing with me? Let's slow it down. Inhale, hold, exhale, softly. Let's imagine something together. Close your eyes. Picture a version of yourself 5 years from now. They wake up gently. They stretch with peace. They move through their day with quiet confidence. They are not rushing. They are not performing. They are simply living with calm consistency. Now ask yourself, how did they get there? Not through punishment, not through endless hustle, but through one small, honest step each day, even after setbacks, even after heartbreak. They just kept returning to the path, to the breath, to themselves, and you can too. You see, most people fail not because they don't try, but because they try with fear. Fear of being too slow, fear of doing it wrong, fear of being judged, but fear makes your nervous system contract, and no one thrives in contraction. Dr. Bessel van der Kolk in The Body Keeps the Score wrote, "Being able to feel safe with other people is probably the single most important aspect of mental health. But what if you could feel safe with yourself first?" That's what this work is. Creating safety in your own body so you can show up day after day, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Are you listening now? Please, tonight, listen gently. You don't need to hustle your way out of pain. You don't need to earn your right to rest. You don't need to explain your exhaustion. You just need to be here with yourself, in stillness, in softness. Repeat after me. I can be slow and still consistent. I can be scared and still take the next step. I can rest and still be worthy of success. Because success is not a speed, it's a direction. And you, my friend, are still facing forward. You didn't quit. You paused. You breathed. You felt. You cared. And that means you're still in the game. So tonight, I invite you to soften your grip. Let go of the tight control. Let go of the shame. Let go of the checklist of what you should have done, and just be. Be the one who returns. Be the one who whispers kindness when the world is silent. Be the one who starts again. Consistency is not about the loud victories. It's about the quiet choices. The moment you decide not to give up on yourself, even when it's 2 a.m., even when you're tired, even when the world feels distant. Are you still here? Good. Let your breath deepen. let your muscles relax. Let your mind unclench. You've done enough tonight. You've come home to yourself. And that is more powerful than any habit tracker. Now close your eyes. Let your thoughts drift like clouds. Nothing to fix, nothing to prove. Just you and the peace of being enough, even now. Are you still awake? Or maybe just barely holding on to the edges of sleep? That's okay. You're not late. You're not behind. You are right where you need to be again. We think progress is a straight line, but in truth, it spirals. You come back to the same lessons, the same emotions, the same thoughts, but each time with a little more wisdom, a little more courage, a little more softness. So, if you're wondering why you still haven't fixed yourself, maybe it's because you were never broken to begin with. Tonight, let's talk about the days you disappear. You know the ones. When you vanish from your plans, when your energy's gone, when even brushing your teeth feels like a mountain, and then the shame. Voices inside begin. Here we go again. You're just lazy. You never finish anything. But let me ask you, what if those silent days aren't a failure, but a message? A whisper from your nervous system. I need a break. I need care. I'm carrying too much. Psychologist Dr. Gabor Mate says, the attempt to escape from pain is what creates more pain. Let that sink in. You're not broken because you paused. You're hurting because you haven't allowed yourself to. So tonight, no pressure to do more, no pushing, just permission. Permission to listen to the deeper voice, the one that says, I don't need to fight myself to grow. Are you listening now? Please, listen gently. You don't have to choose between success and softness. You can have both. You deserve both. Let's try something together. Close your eyes if they're still open. Place one hand on your chest and whisper just under your breath, I am still learning. I am still worthy. I am still becoming. Breathe into those words. Not like a mantra, but like truth, because that's what they are. You see, consistency isn't built in the light. It's built in the dark. In those quiet hours, in the nights when you sit with your sadness, in the mornings you rise, even after yesterday collapsed. Let's remember a moment together. Go back in your memory. A time when you tried again. Not because anyone told you to, but because something inside said, maybe this time it will be different. That spark, that's hope. Not the loud, flashy kind, the quiet kind. The one that glows like a soft candle in the wind. That's what you're building now. A habit of returning, not of perfection, but of persistence. Psychologist Carol Dweck, the author of Mindset, teaches, in a growth mindset, challenges are exciting rather than threatening. So rather than thinking, oh, I'm going to reveal my weaknesses, you say, wow, here's a chance to grow. You don't have to fear your setbacks. They're not monsters. They're maps. They show you where it still hurts, where you still need kindness. You keep asking, why can't I stay consistent? But maybe the better question is, when did I stop feeling safe to try? Because consistency isn't discipline alone. It's trust. Trust that if you fall, you'll catch yourself gently. Tonight, I want you to stop punishing your pauses. Stop fearing the days you feel like hiding. Stop measuring yourself only by output. Instead, measure by presence, by how often you return, by how softly you speak to yourself in the silence. Remember this: the sun rises the same way every day, slowly, softly, not all at once. You're allowed to rise the same way. Let's go back again. A younger version of you. Maybe 10 years ago, they tried to, maybe in silence, maybe with no support, maybe with nothing but a dream. Can you picture them? That version of you? Standing at the edge of something, hopeful, scared, trying. Speak to them now. Say, thank you. Thank you for not giving up. Thank you for surviving long enough for me to heal. Thank you for staying. Now breathe. Breathe for them. Breathe for you. Are you still here with me? Let's go deeper still. You keep thinking your inconsistency is a personal flaw, but have you ever considered? Maybe it's a protective pattern? A strategy you develop to avoid disappointment, to avoid being seen, to avoid the pain of trying too hard and still falling short. That kind of protection deserves compassion, not criticism. Therapist Deb Dana wrote. Regulation happens in connection. You don't have to do this alone. Even now you are being held, not by me, but by your own awareness, by the part of you that chose to press play tonight. You are holding space for yourself, and that's sacred. Maybe today wasn't productive. Maybe the to-do list won. Maybe you scrolled too long. Maybe you gave in. And maybe, just maybe, that's okay. Maybe today was the day your body said, "Can I rest without guilt?" And you said yes. That is healing. That is progress. That is enough. So now, let the shame go. Let the blame soften. Let the stories fall away. You are not behind. You are human. Let me say that again, slowly. You are human. Breathe that in. Let it fill the spaces where doubt used to live. There is no finish line, no perfect version of you waiting at the end. There is only now, this breath, this moment, this choice to return, to soften, to stay. So please, tonight, don't strive, don't hustle, just rest. You're doing enough. You are enough. Even now, are you still awake? Are your eyes half closed, your breath calm, your thoughts wandering? Let them wander. Let them drift softly like clouds floating in the slow sky of your mind. Because tonight, you're not here to fix yourself. You're here to remember who you are and who you were before the noise got too loud. Before the voices told you that you're lazy. Before the guilt wrapped around your dreams like barbed wire. Before you forget how far you've come, you say you can't stay consistent. But let me ask you something. Were you consistent in surviving? Yes, you were. Every day, even when everything hurt, even when no one noticed, you woke up, even if late. You ate something, even if it was just leftovers. You showed up even when your soul was tired. You were consistent with surviving. So don't tell me you can't be consistent. You already are. You just never honored it. The kind of consistency you're looking for. The gym every day, the perfect routine, the journal filled out, the goals ticked off. That's not born from force. It's born from kindness, gentle discipline. It's born from the same place you comfort your little sibling when they cry. You don't yell at them, you hold them. So why do you yell at yourself when you fail? Dr. Carl Rogers once said, "The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change." What if your inconsistency isn't your enemy? but a signal that you've never felt safe being fully yourself? What if your inner child still flinches every time you set a goal? Because she remembers how cruel the voice was when she failed. Let's go back, shall we? Back to the moment you were 12. You had a dream, maybe to draw, to dance, to write, to run. You tried, maybe for 3 days, and then you heard it. See, you never finish anything. It wasn't just the words, it was the look, the disappointment, the way their silence burned louder than their criticism. And so, you stopped. And you thought that was your truth, but it wasn't. You didn't fail. You got hurt. You needed encouragement, not evaluation. You needed presence, not pressure. And no one gave you that. But tonight, I will. Tonight, we heal that wound. Because consistency doesn't begin with motivation. It begins with feeling safe enough to try again without fear. Clinical psychologist Dr. Nicola Pera says, "We are not lazy. We are exhausted, overwhelmed, disconnected from ourselves, and caught in survival patterns. Heal the nervous system and your natural energy returns." You hear that? You're not lazy. You're a soul carrying too much weight, trying to move through a world that asks too much and offers too little silence. So if you couldn't stay consistent, maybe your mind was just screaming for rest, not punishment, not shame, just rest. And rest is allowed. Rest is sacred. Even machines need to recharge. You are not a machine. Now, close your eyes if they aren't already closed. Let your shoulders fall back. Feel your heartbeat. Slow, gentle, constant, just like you want to be. Let's talk about the fear, because that's what interrupts consistency. Not laziness, not forgetfulness, but fear. Fear that you'll fail again. Fear that you'll disappoint others. Fear that even if you succeed, you won't feel worthy. So why try? But what if I told you, you can fail and still be whole? You can stop and start and stop again and still be consistent. Yes, because true consistency isn't perfection, it's honesty. It's the act of showing up even after shame, even after silence, even after self-doubt. Behavioral psychologist B.F. Skinner once wrote, "A failure is not always a mistake. It may simply be the best one can do under the circumstances. The real mistake is to stop trying." Tonight, I want you to forgive yourself. Whisper it. I forgive you for stopping. I forgive you for quitting. I forgive you for not being what they wanted you to be. I forgive you for being tired. Say it slowly. Let it sink in. Say it as many times as you need. Because when you forgive, you create space. And in that space, consistency can breathe. Because now you're not running from shame. You're walking with acceptance. And that's where change begins. Do you want an example? Let me tell you about Lena. Lena was a nurse. Every day, she took care of patients. But when it came to herself, she couldn't keep up with anything. She'd buy planners, follow schedules, set reminders, and still, she'd quit. Until one day, her therapist said, "Stop scheduling tasks. Start scheduling emotions." So she did. Instead of listing run 5K, she wrote, "Be proud of movement." Instead of read 30 pages, she wrote, "Connect with your curiosity." It changed everything. Because consistency is not about tasks. It's about the feeling behind the task. And when you reconnect with the feeling, you stop chasing the perfect version of yourself and start living with the real one. Maybe your version is slower. Maybe it's softer. Maybe it needs more breaks. But it's real. And that's the only kind that lasts. Another psychologist, Dr. Russ Harris, said, "The actions of confidence come first. The feelings of confidence come later." You don't need to wait to feel ready. You just need to begin. Even if it's messy, even if it's clumsy, even if it's imperfect. Tonight, I want you to picture something. Close your eyes again, gently. Imagine yourself as a small plant, not a tree, not yet. Just a small plant with delicate leaves, stretching slowly toward the light. You don't yell at a plant for not growing fast. You water it. You let the sun touch it. You remove the weeds gently. You wait. You are that plant. And consistency is sunlight. Not fire, not thunder. Just quiet, reliable light. So if you missed one day, it's okay. The sun will rise again tomorrow, and you will try again, because you deserve to try again. Not because you're broken, but because you're blooming. And slowly, without pressure, you will stay. You will remain. You will continue. Let your breath soften. Let your heart slow. Let your past unravel. Let your body sink into the bed, as if the mattress is holding all your regrets and lifting them away. You don't need to fix anything right now. You only need to rest in the truth. You are not inconsistent. You are healing. You are unlearning the war you were forced to fight alone, and you are coming home to yourself. Are you listening now? Are you finally hearing your own voice beneath the noise? Then close your eyes, put the phone away, and just listen to your breath, to your soul, to the whisper that says, "Please, today, listen to me." Are you still with me? Are your eyes soft, your breath steady, your thoughts slowing down like ripples in a calm lake? Then let's keep going. Let's go deeper. Because the truth is, we often try to build new habits on top of a foundation we haven't healed yet. We try to grow flowers in soil that's still wounded, and then we wonder why nothing lasts. Why do we break promises to ourselves? Why the motivation fades? Why do our mornings start with hope and end with guilt? But tonight, I want to talk to you. Not the version of you that's trying to impress anyone. Not the version that's been chasing goals with tired legs. No, I want to talk to you that feels like giving up. The you that's too tired to pretend anymore. The you that just wants peace. Because that's where the real work begins. Not in the loud celebrations, but in the quiet decisions no one sees. So let me ask you something gently. When did you learn that trying was dangerous? Was it when you gave your best effort and someone still called it not enough? Was it when you finally opened up and they laughed? Was it when you started something beautiful and life knocked it out of your hands? Did you start believing that failure was your fault? Did you start believing that inconsistency meant you were broken? Because you're not. Inconsistency doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're human. And some days, the weight is just heavier. That's okay. You see, Dr. Kristen Neff, a leading researcher in self-compassion, once said, "With self-compassion, we give ourselves the same kindness and care we'd give to a good friend." So why is it so easy to tell a friend, "It's okay, you're doing your best," but so hard to say the same to ourselves? Why do we punish our own pauses? Why do we measure our worth by our productivity? You are not a machine. You are not your output. You are a soul in motion. And souls don't move in straight lines. They spiral. They sway. They fall and rise and fall again. And still they grow. Have you ever seen how a river carves a canyon? Not in a day, but drop by drop. over years, over centuries. It's not dramatic, it's patient, it's persistent, and it never doubts its direction. You can be that river. You already are. You just forgot. And every time you tried to change yourself overnight, every new me resolution, every this time for real plan, was built on urgency, not understanding. But you can't heal with a hammer. You heal with a whisper. So tonight, I want you to whisper to yourself, I am allowed to begin again. Say it out loud or in your heart. I am allowed to begin again and again and again. Not because you failed, but because you're worth it. Let me give you a story. There was a boy named Kieran. He was brilliant, but scattered. He'd start things with fire in his eyes, but never finish them. Everyone called him lazy, unfocused, but no one saw how deeply he cared, how hard he tried, how much he wanted to be better. Until one day, he met a counselor who said, stop focusing on finishing, focus on returning. That changed everything. He stopped punishing his stops and started celebrating his return. Every time he came back to his routine, even after a week, he'd say, I returned. That's enough. And slowly, he built a life. Not a perfect one, but a consistent one. Because real consistency isn't never stopping. It's always returning. Let that sink in. Real consistency is not about being flawless. It's about being faithful. Faithful to your intention. Faithful to your inner whisper. Faithful to the small light that refuses to go out even when the world turns dark. Let's talk about pressure now, because that's what often crushes consistency. Not the task, but the weight we attach to it. I have to do this or I'm a failure. I must keep this up or I'm useless. But who decided that? Who wrote those rules? Who told you that your worth depends on a checklist? They were wrong. You don't earn value by being efficient. You already have value. You were born with it, and every breath you take affirms it. Clinical psychologist Dr. Susan David says, discomfort is the price of admission to a meaningful life. So yes, consistency sometimes means showing up even when it's hard. But it doesn't mean dragging yourself with shame. It means holding your discomfort like a child who's scared. It means saying, I see you. I know this is hard, but we'll keep going. That's what you needed as a child, isn't it? Not criticism, but comfort. Not punishment, but presence. So, give it to yourself now. Close your eyes for a moment. Feel the weight of your body on the bed, the way the pillow supports your head without asking anything from you. That's love. Silent, gentle, unconditional. Now imagine every small act of consistency you've ever tried. Every day you showed up even when it didn't seem to matter. Every journal entry, every 5-minute workout, every walk, every breath you took instead of giving up. They're still inside you, still building something, still shaping the person you are becoming. You are not behind. You are not late. You are becoming. And becoming takes time, and kindness, and rest. So if tonight you did nothing but listen, that's enough. If you haven't been productive, but you've been present with your pain, that's enough. If you've cried, reflected, breathed, that's enough. You don't need more proof. You are trying, and trying counts. Do you hear me? Trying counts. Consistency is not perfection. It's love in motion, and love is never linear. So tonight, I invite you to stop keeping score. Put down the measuring stick. Take off the guilt. Lay down the burden of always needing to be on, and just be here. With your breath, with your softness, with the truth that you are worthy of a life that moves at the pace of grace. Now breathe in, and as you exhale, say silently, I am safe to slow down. I am safe to begin again. I am safe to be gentle. Let those words tuck you in. Let them wrap around you like a soft blanket. And if your mind wanders, it's okay. It always will. Just bring it back again and again. Because that's consistency too. Returning one breath at a time, one choice at a time, one night at a time. And when tomorrow comes, you will try again. And that will be enough. Are you listening now? Please, tonight, listen to me. Put the phone away and listen to the small, quiet voice inside. The one that never stopped believing in you. Even when you did, it's still here, still whispering, still waiting. So listen, just listen and sleep. Are you breathing? Good. Then stay here a little longer. You don't need to move. You don't need to plan tomorrow. You don't need to fix anything right now. You just need to receive it. Because you've given enough. You've fought enough. And maybe you've been too busy carrying guilt to realize it. But right here, at this moment, you are enough. Just as you are. No conditions. No checklists. No gold stars. Let's return to something we whispered before. Consistency isn't about perfection. It's about returning. But let's take that a step deeper now. It's not only about returning. It's also about retrusting. Because every time you come back to yourself, you're not just resuming a habit. You're rebuilding trust between you and your own heart. And maybe that trust was broken. Maybe by the world. Maybe by people you believed in. Or maybe by you. When you gave up on something that mattered. But broken trust doesn't mean you're unworthy. It just means you're wounded. And wounds don't make you weak. They make you real. Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, author of The Body Keeps the Score, explains how trauma and stress don't just live in the mind. They live in the body. That heaviness in your chest, that tiredness that never seems to go away, that sudden fear of starting something new, it's not laziness. It's not failure. It's your nervous system trying to protect you from more pain. So what if? What if the inconsistency in your life isn't a sign that you don't care, but a sign that you care so deeply? Does it scare you? What if you've been punishing yourself for the exact reason you deserve kindness? Think of it. You keep trying, even after falling again and again. That's not a weakness. That's resilience. Quiet, tender, invisible to others, but so real. Are you listening now? Because what you need isn't another productivity hack. It's not a stricter routine. It's not a louder alarm clock. What you need is rest. Not just physical rest, but emotional rest, mental rest. The kind of rest that comes when you stop performing for a world that never truly saw the weight you were carrying. Let's talk about that weight. Because if you're like most people who struggle with staying consistent, you probably carry stories that never belong to you. Stories like, if I don't succeed, I'm nothing. If I stop, I'll never start again. If I'm not strong all the time, I'll be forgotten. But who taught you those? Whose voice lives inside your head when you fail? And why did you give it so much power? Because tonight, I want you to replace that voice not by shouting over it, but by whispering the truth beneath it. Here's the truth. You are allowed to be tired. You are allowed to fall. You are allowed to not know the next step. Because growth isn't a straight staircase. It's a spiral. And sometimes the spiral loops back before it moves forward. But forward is still forward. And healing still counts, even if it's slow. There's a Japanese concept called Kaizen, the philosophy of continuous, small improvements, not giant leaps, just little steps, 1 inch at a time, 1 deep breath, 1 kind choice. That's how bridges are built. That's how storms pass. That's how people like you become whole again. Not overnight, but over many nights like this one. Nights when they choose gentleness over guilt, presence over punishment, and trust over fear. Tonight, I want you to trust yourself again, just a little. Not forever, just for this moment. Can you do that? Can you believe that you are already in the process of healing simply by showing up here? Because you are. Let me give you another story. There's a girl named Anaya. She had dreams, big ones. But every time she made progress, she'd sabotage herself. She didn't know why, until one day she realized every success reminded her of a time someone she loved had failed, and deep down, she didn't want to outgrow them. She didn't want to leave them behind emotionally. Her inconsistency was loyalty in disguise. Does that sound familiar? Are you loyal to someone else's pain? Are you holding back because you think healing will disconnect you from who you were? It won't. Real healing integrates your past. It doesn't erase it. It carries the younger you with compassion. It says, I know why you stopped. I know why you hid. But it's safe now. It's safe to be consistent in joy. It's safe to keep going. Consistency is a love letter to the person you're becoming. A gentle one. Not a demand. Not a command. Just a steady whisper that says, I want you to feel proud of your life. I want you to feel safe in your mind. I want you to feel worthy, even on the days you don't show up perfectly, because you are. Let's talk about the mind for a moment. Dr. Daniel Siegel talks about integration. How a well-balanced mind isn't one that avoids conflict, but one that allows all parts of the self to coexist. The joyful part, the fearful part, the ambitious part, the exhausted part. All of them have a seat at your table. None need to be exiled. And when they feel heard, they stop screaming. That's what you're doing now. You're listening. And that changes everything. Because the more you listen to yourself with compassion, the less you need the world's permission to rest. The less you chase external validation, and the more you begin to see that is the real path to consistency. Was never paved with shame. It was paved with softness, with forgiveness, with breath. So take another one now, deeply. Feel it expand your lungs. You're still here. And that means something. Let that mean something. You are not your habits. You are the awareness beneath them. You are not the noise in your head. You are the silence, listening patiently underneath it. You are not the failure you fear. You are the courage to try again, and again, and again. You're doing it right now. This is it. This is what consistency feels like. When it's rooted in love, soft, quiet. And as your body relaxes and your eyes begin to feel heavier, let these words stay with you gently. You are safe. You are allowed to be whole. You are allowed to heal slowly. you are allowed to return. No matter how many times you've wandered away, you are allowed to trust again. Yourself, your future, your voice. Even now, especially now. Are you listening? Please, just tonight, listen to me. Not the noise, not the pressure, not the fear, but me. The part of you that wants peace more than perfection. The part of you that still believes in the quiet miracle of showing up. Let it be soft. Let it be slow. Let it be sacred. Just don't let it stop. Because the next part of you is waiting. And it's beautiful. It's ready. But we're not done yet. Are you still here? Good. Stay a little longer. Not because you must, but because you want to. This is the end. But not the kind of end that closes a door. It's the kind that opens a window. Wide enough to let in silence. Wide enough to let in sleep. And maybe if you're ready, wide enough to let in peace. Before we part ways, I want to thank you, not just for listening, but for surviving, for holding on, for returning again and again, even when you didn't believe you could. You've done something powerful tonight. You've stood still. You've allowed softness. You've paused the noise of the world long enough to hear your own breath again. Do you know how rare that is? How sacred? Because the world never teaches us to pause. It teaches us to run, to hustle, to prove, to perform. But tonight, you remembered how to be still, and that's where the healing began. We've talked about many things: consistency, failure, shame, fear, memory, the child within you, the quiet warrior you've always been. We've whispered through the dark so your heart could finally hear itself. And I want to say something now, a final truth, the kind that doesn't need to be proven, only felt. You are worthy, even when you stop, even when you're tired, even when no one sees your effort. You are worthy, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. And who you are is still unfolding. You see, healing is not about becoming someone else. It's about finally becoming fully yourself, without fear, without shame, without masks. So take off the mask. Let your face feel the air of honesty. You don't have to pretend anymore. Not here, not in this silence. You are allowed to be the person you once buried beneath shoulds and musts, and not enough. You are allowed to rise, slowly, quietly, naturally, like breath, like dawn, like forgiveness. Do you remember what you used to dream about? Do you remember what made your heart ache in a beautiful way? It's still there. That version of you isn't lost. It's waiting. Inside the stillness, inside your willingness to return. And now, finally, you've returned. Maybe not perfectly, maybe not confidently, but truthfully, and that is everything. Dr. Kristen Neff, the leading voice on self-compassion, says, with self-compassion, we give ourselves the same kindness and care we'd give to a good friend. Tonight, you've done just that. You've become your own friend. You've shown up in the middle of the mess and said, I'm staying. You've sat beside your scattered thoughts and held them like a child. You've honored the version of yourself who didn't know how to keep going, and you've whispered to them, it's okay now. We're safe. We're healing. We're not alone. Because you're not alone anymore. Not here. Not now. You've connected to the voice that was always yours. The one beneath the fear. The one beneath the noise. The one that never left. It only got quiet. waiting for you to listen. And you did. So now, as your eyes grow heavier and your breath softens into a rhythm, I want to leave you with this. You do not have to chase peace. It's already within you. You do not have to chase worthiness. You were born with it. You do not have to chase consistency. You are consistent in every beat of your heart, in every tear you've shed in silence, in every time you got back up when no one else clapped, in every time you forgave yourself for being human. That is consistency. That is strength. That is you. Let tonight be the last time you measure your value by your productivity. Let tonight be the first time you fall asleep, not with pressure, but with presence. You've done enough. You've heard enough. Now it's time to trust that your healing doesn't need proof. It only needs space and rest and kindness and sleep. So sleep now. Let this stillness hold you. Let this silence carry you. Let your mind drift like clouds in a windless sky. There is no more fight, no more striving, no more explaining. Only peace, only breath, only this moment, this soft, sacred moment where you are finally free to rest, free to be, free to let go, free to trust that you'll wake up tomorrow a little softer, a little stronger, and a little more in love with the person you've always been becoming. This is the end of punishment, of shame, of not enough, and the beginning of return, of peace, of you. Sleep now. You are safe. You are whole. You are home. You are already exactly where you're meant to be.